morning, everyone. My name is Brenda, and on behalf of the Orange Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau, welcome to the September segment and freshly rebranded Eggs and Issues podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming. Before we get started, I have a couple quick welcomes. Hiding behind me over there, I have Mayor Dan Slater. Mayor, welcome. And Treasurer Garrett Smith. Welcome, Garrett. I think I've got it covered. Okay. Well, also a formal thank you. We didn't get to do a formal thank you to the Hotel Farah. They were a host over the summer for Eggs and Issues, a lovely location. We are still going to be hosting our business networking group over there at the Peel. That's on the first Wednesday, so we'll still see you over there. We're so happy to be in our new space, the Velvet Rose. It's just a beautiful location. I don't know where the team is today, but maybe they'll watch this. Maybe they're watching in the back. But thank you so much to the Velvet Rose for having us today. Before we kind of get started, I do have a couple things. So podcast-wise, nothing has changed with you guys. So the format's going to be about the same. You guys can still ask your questions. It's an open format. Our guest is here for you. The only difference is it's going to be called a podcast. And you guys are our live audience, and I think that's going to be a great rebrand for us, and so we're looking forward to it. And with that, I am pleased to introduce our guest speaker. We have Orange County Board of Supervisors Supervisor Vicente Sarmiento. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm holding on to dear life to my coffee, by the way. I'm not letting it go, so.
You would think that you would know, like, we've had a friendly chat like a few times. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to ask any bad questions.
The coffee is just to wake up. That's really it.
So before we dive into some questions, we have a ton, but I wanted to just read a little bit about the supervisor. So elected to serve on the Orange County Board of Supervisors in 2022, Supervisor Sarmiento is only the third Latino in 134 years to serve on the board and the first county supervisor from Santa Ana since 1948. He and his family arrived in Orange County in 1965 and settled in Santa Ana. A product of local public schools, he completed his undergraduate education in economics at UC Berkeley and received his Juris Doctorate degree from UCLA School of Law. After winning the election in 2008, he served as a member of the Santa Ana Council in 2020 when he was elected mayor. During his tenure with the city, accessibility and transparency in local government were his priority. He showed bold and aggressive leadership supporting affordable housing, youth programs, immigrant rights, and cultural heritage initiatives. As supervisor, he has continued working on these important policy efforts. He continues to work helping expand affordable housing access to high-quality healthcare for all, ensuring residents are connected to critical social services, supporting initiatives that create safer communities, and working on long-term solutions on issues of homelessness. Supervisor Sarmiento currently serves as a director on the Orange County Transportation Authority, vice chair for Cal Optima Health, director on the Behavioral Health Advisory Board, and is the chair of the Commission to Address Homelessness. You are busy.
After hearing all that, no wonder I feel tired. No wonder I needed the coffee.
We don't blame you. Well, we know that you're busy, and we thank you again for coming today. How are you feeling today?
I'm great. Well, thank you. And, it's funny. It's great to be with all of you, by the way. Good morning. Thank you for waking up with us and, starting your day. I hope that this will be informative. Usually on these things, I try to make sure it's more of a conversation than me talking at anybody. I'd rather speak amongst us and have a chat. Right. So Brenda was reminding me, this is the third time I've attended one of these. I remember that the last time was at the Orange Cafe, I think, right? Mm-hmm. When I was starting this, journey as supervisor. But we had done this at the train station when I was mayor of Santa Ana. So, and it was, I think, right after the pandemic. Yes, and I know we were gathering there. So, so I guess I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the mayor's been here a few times. For me being the third time, I feel like I'm with friends and it's a friendly space and we can have a good conversation. But I'm just so grateful for you all for the invitation and for you all being here.
Yeah, we're glad you could be here. Well, I thought we'd start with some Orange items since we're here in Orange. Like over the last couple of years, your office has supported several projects ranging from school crossing guards to the restoring of the fountain. Which of these efforts do you feel has been the greatest impact on the residents' daily lives?
I think when we were talking about the restoration and the collision or collisions that impacted the fountain. To me, it was really a special moment. I had just started and got on the board of supervisors at the time. But just to give you a little bit of background to precede what the bio said, our family's been here since 1965. So my family arrived in Santa Ana, literally 3 blocks from where I live back then, and it was a much different county. But what I call the circle, what maybe called the plaza, I'm always going to call it the circle, is still there, and it was one of the places that we all kind of gathered and went to. So it was really iconic for us. So when it was damaged, I just felt that even though it's symbolic of sort of Central County, it was really important that we leaned in and make sure that it was restored. I think it was the McCandless family that helped with the tile work, because it has some really unique tile work. And I own a 100-year-old home in Santa Ana. So I became very familiar with just restoration and the integrity of quality and material. So when they came in and told the story about the grandfather, McCandless' grandfather, doing the tile work, and they're now restoring it, it just felt like the right thing to do. And I saw a lot of just happiness and joy in people seeing that restored. Now I think we're going to be doing restoration 2.0, because there's been some additional damage to it. But that was just more for the community, right? And there are certain places in Orange that are just so critical to the county and so important and iconic, and that's one of them. I think for me is a really special place, and I'm just so happy to have that in our district. So.
Definitely. I think one of the most sad things is you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, something's fallen into it. So.
Right?
We certainly appreciate your help with that.
Yeah, thanks.
And as far as some other infrastructure projects like the bike path improvements, those might seem small, but they do connect our pathways in the community and quality of life. How does your team decide which projects get the most funding, or how do you decide what those top projects are?
Yeah, we try to, be as, and just so you all know, the district is pretty, it's not very large geographically, but it's very dense and very urban. So we cover the entire city of Santa Ana, a large part of Orange, a large part of Anaheim and Tustin, and a very small piece of Eastern Garden Grove. So it's difficult to try to navigate because, when I was mayor, and I'm sure the mayor will agree with me, when you're focused in on your city, there are certain challenges. Which neighborhood, which area are you looking at? The business corridor. Here in the district, I think that we have competing needs in our second district. Our second district has been impacted by in so many different ways, and I'll state the obvious. This summer's been rough on the second district, and I know 2 blocks from my office, we had the National Guard staged there for about 2 months. So that was something that none of us expected, and so making sure that the neighbors, the residents, the business corridor, which was right along 4th Street, felt supported was something that I think was an important role for the county to serve. When it came to the bike path, I know Councilmember Tavolaris was talking to me about her grandfather, and she said, how important this path was, and we thought, look, let's tackle that, because if you all don't know, the second district has the least county park space of all 5 districts. So, most of our open space is in the 3rd district, is in the 5th district along the coastline, and it's a beautiful place. But what I've always known is that, the central part of our county is more park poor than maybe some of the others. So introducing trails and bike paths and even pocket parks is a huge thing. So I see, Barry and Todd Cottle in there. They've been partners of ours in introducing affordable housing. One of the things I know we've always been able to partner on is even in developments, creating like a small park or open space for families that not just the residents will be able to use, but the community has been really important. So you see it done all over the place. My son is studying in Boston, and you see these pocket parks. They're just no bigger than a parcel for a home, and they convert it into a place where you put some picnic benches and and some playground equipment, and it's a park and it works. And so more of that, I hope, will kind of enhance the quality of life that we have throughout at least in the second district, and have more open space for kids.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, diving into something a tad bit deeper, but that's I heard very important to your office is the economic climate survey. So I know that you guys partner with UC Irvine to put this survey together. If you can tell us a little bit about it, how easy it is to access. I did access it last night, and it was very easy, very straightforward. Questions were very deep. But if you can tell everybody here about that, how you put it together, how long they can access it.
Yeah. So you got in right under the wire. It's
Oh, no.
it's closing tomorrow, by the way. So it's been open, but thank goodness we met the threshold. So UC Irvine is going to be our partner in evaluating the findings of an economic study, based upon the premise that there have been impacts to our state, our country, with different policies that have impacted business, right? But trying to find out what those impacts are and what the consequences of those are. We just felt we wanted to take a deeper dive with our county and find out how has Orange been impacted by that. And that means all 34 cities, and we're impacted in different ways. So we wanted to make sure that we had a thorough, just objective analysis of what these impacts are, whether it's tariffs, whether it's different, policy constraints and budget challenges, whether it's immigration enforcement increases that are affecting workforce. So all those things are going to be condensed in a 10-minute survey that businesses can answer. I hope it was painless. And we were supposed to hit a 200 threshold. We've had over 300 respondents, and so thank you to the chamber and all the chambers, OCBC and others have all really leaned in and said, we want a really clear picture of what we can do. Because what happens is without that information, we can't do good policy that will address the needs. And so I think that will help us better understand. But yeah, so if you haven't done it, please, those of you who have businesses, make sure you do it, get in under the wire today. It'll close tomorrow, but now we'll have a good sample size to make sure that we can at least share those with you all. So we will make sure to share it with you and your members and here in the city, just because we know we're all looking at what are next steps going into the next few months, the next few years, and we want to be able to help have some tools to help us guide that.
About how long do we think it'll take to see those results?
Yeah, I don't see anybody here from UCI, so I was going to go ahead and defer to them. But I know that gathering the data is a challenge. I think evaluating it, doing the analysis, I don't think it'll take more than 3 to 6 months. But we want to make sure it's also done well. But they've been good partners of ours as the universities here in Orange. I mean, Chapman's been a great partner, Rancho Santiago. So for the city, you all are in very good hands, and I know there's going to be a new president at Chapman. Outgoing President Strupa was actually a good friend, and we got to partner on some things together. He would tell me about his Italian background, and I told him I spent last summer spending some time in South Italy, very close to where he was from. So it was great, but the new president seems like going to hit the ground running as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps we can. Patty, are we able to just send out to even people who've registered? Can we send them that survey? Okay, so everyone who's here, we'll get that survey out to you guys today. That way you guys make sure you have it in your inbox like today and it's fresh, and you'll do it tonight. So we appreciate that.
Yay.
Guys. Moving on to other fun things, let's talk about the budgeting process. Now, I know that on the website there are a lot of details about the budget, everything from a guide for you all how to use it, read it, learn about it, multiple budgets from many years, but we're entering that strategic financial plan cycle right now. Can you tell us about that and what that looks like for your office and your team?
Yeah, so our budget process is based upon a strategic financial plan that looks out 5 years. So we're now taking that look, right? And so what our office has done is we've tried to host community budget town halls where people can come out and ask questions of the department heads, of our CEO. So there's a lot here. I want to try to unpack a few things because we also have a CEO who's going to be leaving the county after spending a couple of years as an interim. So we're in the search for a new CEO. But one of the things I've tried to do is Orange is, so well situated, and you've all been such great partners that we've held all our budget town halls in the city. I think we've had 2 at Grijalva Park, and I think 1 at a high school. So Robert, by the way, Villegas is in the back. So if I miss anything, he'll be the guy with the right answer. If I say something right, it's because of me. If I say something wrong, it's because of Robert. Um, but we try to make sure we embrace the community and make sure that you all had access to that. But we really, I think the way the county did it in the past, and when I was mayor in Santa Ana, what I tried to do was listen to the constituents, listen to the stakeholders, and hear from you. What is it that you want to see? So ours is a very fluid budget process where we start asking questions and talking about, what is it that we need? What are the priorities? Maybe what are the challenges? And then as we go into the cycle in June, we'll have had those questions hopefully asked and answered. And I know we have a place on our website where you can go on and fill out what is it what do you believe that the county's priorities should be? Now we do have some challenges because we see that, obviously at the state level, they're struggling with their budget. At the federal level, the policies, as far as support for certain programs, for healthcare especially, are going to change, and they're going to be affecting many of us that live here. Even if you're not a Medicare or Medi-Cal recipient, it's going to affect us because when we cut back on services for those who are close to 1 million in our county now receiving Medi-Cal benefits and through Cal Optima, which is a public health plan. I'm the vice chair there, so I'm seeing in real time services being cut. And so it's, for those of us who think, well, it's not going to affect me because I'm not, I have my own private carrier, it will affect us because we don't have a county hospital that most counties do. We do it through a network of hospitals, clinics, physicians. So if people aren't receiving their care through sort of, your own physician, your own coverage, you're going to be receiving it through an emergency room. That brings, that makes costs much higher for those of us, and the wait times are going to be really difficult as well. So we're trying to see where we can try to smooth those things out. But right now, we would welcome you to please let us know what your opinions are of where the county should be with its budget. The one challenge I will kind of point out is we had a fire over the summer called the airport fire. And I know it's been overshadowed by the Eaton fire in the Palisades, but we did have a significant fire that we are estimating is going to cost the county about $500 million because liability was clearly on the county, and there's no way to, to deny that. The claims are coming in, the deadline's been, expired. So we now are dealing and negotiating with those claimants. Some of them have very legitimate claims. Others, we're just trying to make sure that there is the right response on the claims that have been filed. But that was a self-inflicted, problem that the county didn't expect. So that, along with the challenges at the federal and state level, will make it difficult. But we certainly believe that the residents here in our county should be dictating to us what we prioritize in our budget, and not the other way around.
What's the best way for resident and our business owners and community to voice those opinions? I think there might have been a form, but how would they do that?
Yeah, so there's a, I think we have it on our website, Robert, right?
Yeah, we'll be uploading a form here this week, as well as sending out an email to our residents to let them know where to go and how to voice their opinions.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that we share with you the next upcoming budget, community budget forum that we host. We have them at the county, but I always think that they're much more personal when they're done like sort of in a community center, at a school, someplace where we can have that back and forth. Coming to the chamber and coming to a meeting at the board, a little bit more impersonal, but we certainly want to hear from you in any form, whether it's through an email or whether it's attending one of our community forums.
You mentioned healthcare, and I know that you're on the board of the Cal Optima. And I know one of your initiatives has been to work on reserves. So as there's that cutover between what they're receiving and what's available, how does that work? How long is that sustainable, I guess, when that cutover kind of happens?
Yeah, I think we're seeing now that just programs that SNAP programs, other programs that really help those million plus people, or close to 1 million people in the county that are Cal Optima members. These are our seniors. These are our neighbors who are disabled and neighbors who are low income. So there, what we try to do at Cal Optima is set aside some funds through our reserves because we know that that care needs to continue. The need is going to be there despite what happens at the federal level. So we set aside some monies that we are now going to try to start expending because a couple of things happened with the bill that passed over the summer, HR 1, which is going to be cutting back on some of these services, is there's now a work requirement. Whether we agree with it philosophically or not, people who are eligible for Medi-Cal and Cal Optima have to check in now twice, whereas before you would check in once to demonstrate your ability to work, your ability to seek work. But we know it's estimated that close to 200,000 members will be dropped from that. So we are now trying to invest in making sure that we're assisting people as they navigate, because I tried to do it just as an exercise. It's really, really difficult to navigate. And for a person who's an older person, and I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I can navigate a little bit. For somebody who is challenged or with a disability or not having access to the internet and not being as fluent, it will be a challenge. So we're now engaging navigators, people who will assist, because what we do want to do is at the very least keep those people on the system and keep those people covered as much as possible and not lose as many, because we know it's going to be a difficult time. So that's where a lot of the investment is. You probably all, if you didn't, the grand jury report came out and really I think was aligned with what our office is trying to do. What we see as the best way to dispense care, healthcare, is through a preventive model where you have people check in, you have people go to their doctors in advance and not receiving their care through an emergency department. It's costly for us. It's not really effective for the end user or patient. So we've seen a lot of success in just making sure people are able to just visit a physician, see them regularly. But that system is now really going to be tested. So we see that. We even do that with, I know we'll probably get to a question on homelessness, but there's something that we did at Cal Optima called the Street Medicine Program. So for many of our residents and neighbors who are on the street and are unhoused, where do they get their care? And the reason why they're sort of having substance use disorder issues or mental health issues or other health related issues, it's because they don't go see a doctor like you and I go see a doctor. Their care is completely abandoned. So these street medicine teams, it's like a medical office on wheels. So we've got 4 cities that are now on board, the latest one being Santa Ana, but the first one was Garden Grove, then Anaheim and Costa Mesa. So we've seen that there is a real effective way of making sure people who are healthy will be able to transition into receiving services and thereafter transition into housing. So it's been a very effective tool. I had my doubts early on whether we should invest, but the model is a good one because what we're seeing is that people are trusting those navigators, those physicians that are coming to them regularly and saying, look, we don't want to do anything except see what your condition is and see if we can treat it. And once you do that, a person really engages and they start looking for additional help. So, yeah.
I think this is a great time to take some questions. As I mentioned, Supervisor is here for you guys. So who's got a question? Anyone?
Don't call him that guy in the green shirt. He asks nothing but hard questions back there. So.
He asked me, quick, Marjan.
Thank you, Marjan.
I was one who did take your survey you put out in the impact survey, and I noticed that the questions revolved on 2 federal issues, tariffs and immigration, and I wanted to ask you about that and what was the purpose or the thought behind the county putting that out, and if you're going into other issues and you want to hear about impacts. I have a restaurant, speaking of parents and generational, my parents came in 1964, they were immigrants, and eventually opened a restaurant, and now it's in Orange, been there 35 years, and
What's it called?
it is very hard right now. The restaurant industry could not be harder since the pandemic has been tough, and I think the biggest challenge isn't immigration or tariffs, it's wage increases. And this is not a county issue, and I know that, and I'm bringing it up because that we have to have a certain minimum wage increase every year means that the people that have been with me the longest and who deserve the back of the house, who deserve more money because they're working harder, aren't able to get the raises they deserve. And I just wanted to put that out there and see if there was anything that, you know, how that's being addressed. If you're looking at larger issues.
Super helpful. So I think, and hopefully there's I'm not sure if there's an area on the survey where we also want to just take general opinions about other things that may not have been asked on the survey. But there's so many other things, and I think one of the things that I think is there's a nexus to your question that is part of the context of just the survey. We live in a beautiful county. I mean, it's the 6th largest county in the country, the 3rd largest in the state now, not in size, but in population, right? So we have over close to 3.2 million residents. It's not the county that your family and my family arrived at when, in the mid-60s. It was a kind of a bedroom community. There was a lot more agribusiness. Now it's a very urban area, very densely populated, at least in this district as well. So you're right. I mean, tariffs do affect businesses, and the survey was for all different types of businesses. So tariffs may affect some industry different than they do restaurant, hospitality, others, and immigration the same way, right? It may affect the workforce. So I think, with respect to your question, wages and, increasing, a cost on that side to businesses. My family had a restaurant as well when we arrived. So we know one of the things that we were challenged with is just permitting, just going through inspections and going through, approvals. So new businesses and, small businesses that are being introduced don't really know how to navigate the process of getting an inspection done, getting a C of O, getting the right approvals on licenses. So we increased the staffing at the environmental health department. So those inspectors would be out there quicker, because I think for businesses, we all worry about the fees and the costs, but we worry about predictability and speed. The sooner we can get something done means that we can operate a lot quicker. When it comes to wages, I think one of the things that the county is struggling with right now at all levels is just affordability. And so for your frontline workers that are being paid, I'm sure well, it is going to be very difficult for them to find a place to live, because the cost of housing, the cost of goods and services has just increased acutely in Orange County. Now you have a 3 bedroom, 2-bathroom home, which is very modest, up to $800,000, $900,000. Something that my children who are, in college, one in medical school, one in law school, probably won't be able to live in the county that they were raised in because of the high cost. How we do that is the challenge, because that way there's not the pressure on the businesses to increase wages, because it's a much more affordable place to live. But childcare being as expensive as it is, all the other ancillary costs make it really difficult for a person to have a high quality of life as an employee in the back of the restaurant as well as the front of the restaurant, and as a business owner. I know it's challenging. So, the fact that people have to pay $2,500 rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in our county is tough. And it's going to chase away a lot of the labor force that we need. People that, have worked in, in your place of business for over 35 years, really difficult, right? So that's the challenge, I think, for us, is trying to produce more housing, more affordable housing, so people don't have to commute from the Inland Empire to come out here because they can't afford to live here. But we're hoping that if we can bring down those pressures and those costs, then wages can adjust. Right now, wages are trying to catch up with just the cost that's, just increased and spiked.
Any other questions come to mind? Rachel?
I was really glad to hear you talk about healthcare quite a bit, Supervisor, and you acknowledge that here in Orange County we don't have county-run hospitals, but other networks and hospitals and physicians that we utilize. In Orange specifically, we're really lucky in your district to have Providence St. Joe's, UCI Health, CHOC, and a few others, I'm sure, but kind of just thinking about your role on Cal Optima and knowing what we have here, and specifically in your district, you might just speak a little bit about the ability to have greater access and location here in Orange, what we have, feeling pretty lucky and special to have that here right here.
Yeah, so thank you, Rachel. In our district, we have about 12 hospitals, and I think you mentioned St. Joe's here in Orange. We have a trauma care center at OC Global and other places that we're really blessed to have high quality hospitals and care here in the area. We convened a roundtable with our hospital directors yesterday from Providence, from KPC, from Kaiser and others. It was a really sobering conversation. They were really grateful because what we did at Cal Optima is a year ago, we approved something called a provider rate increase. So it helped hospitals stay above, stay in the black because a lot of them were struggling. But they are very fearful of some of the cuts that are coming. So much so that, a few of them said that they're going to have to take some services offline, and they're now relying on nonprofits to help on behavioral health. That is a critically dangerous thing for us to look at. Right now, when mental health, behavioral health is so important, and we're all seeing people struggle, for that service, for that to now be something that's going to be dismantled or unable to be provided by these hospitals, it's difficult. And St. Joe's in particular said that they're having a tough time. And so we know that, for me, look, all three of my children were born in St. Joe's, so we know it is the one-stop shop for many families to get their care. But to see that some of those services now are going to be possibly compromised, if not, taken away altogether. So we're trying to see how we can, extend maybe that provider rate increase for them going forward. These are just stopgap measures. This isn't going to solve the problem. But one of the things that I did, ask bluntly to our directors is, to the extent that we continue to float you some funds so you can continue providing these services, is there going to be the reciprocal consideration for the end user and patient? Are their wait times going to be shortened? Are they going to be able to get, the care that they need quickly? Because we don't want to simply fund efforts and fund, the capacity to continue, but also to ask, is the quality of care improving with that funding source? So that's the tough conversation that, that we're going to be having with Cal Optima. Luckily, we've set aside some funds for these moments, but it certainly is not going to solve anything if we can't get anything solved at the federal level. Because, most of the county is a pass-through agency. We dispense with money that we receive from the federal government, and it's close to $11 billion. But really, $10 billion of it is completely already restricted monies that come from the federal and state government, and the state monies are dependent on the federal money. So it really is, the focal point of these decisions and how much funding we're receiving is really federally based. So these discussions on the continuing resolution right now that are happening in real time, really affect us at a local level. So it makes our job very difficult to forecast. What are we going to do, next year, and going into the fiscal year after that? So yeah, tough moments.
Speaking of funding, one of the things your team pointed out was in the legislative priorities, Orange County receives just 5 cents on every property tax dollar. I guess if you can share with us, how is that determined? And then that is also the lowest allocation in the state. What does that mean for residents and services? So first, why do we only have 5%, and then how does it affect us?
So that is going to be the last doom and gloom question. We're going to change. We're going to change speed and talk about some fun things like concerts in the park, and then I'm just kidding. No, look, the reality is that one of the realities that we were talking about, our county being, it's evolved so far from where it was even just 20, 30 years ago, is that we used to be a very small county. So we received 5 cents on the dollar when our neighbor peer counties like San Diego and Riverside County are sort of our peer counties, not just because of the proximity, but population size. So they all receive 10 cents on the dollar, 11 cents on the dollar. We receive half of that. We receive the lowest of all counties in the state. just as an example, LA County receives about 20 cents. So what that means is that we are expected to do as much as all the other counties with less than half of what they receive. So it is a very, very difficult thing because we also have employees. We have about 19,000 employees at the county that we want to make sure, look, their quality of life is good as well. I mean, we have people that do incredible work in our park system, in our public works, waste and recycling, all these other areas. And to not be able to compensate them fairly because we don't receive the same support from the state that our neighboring counties do really has us at a disadvantage. We've been able to be competitive because we've been prudent, we've been safe with our policies. It's a AAA rated county. So we certainly are fiscally responsible, but to do so much with so little is something that I know I am looking for an author to carry a bill. It's not going to be a real popular bill. It's to go up to Sacramento and say, just give us parity. We don't want any more than anybody else. We just want the same. So if we can get to where maybe our neighboring counties are at 10 cents on the dollar, look, I know it's going to be a tough conversation with our education partners because they receive those monies as well. And it'll be a haircut for almost everybody. But at the very least, the county will be strong enough, solvent enough to provide the services that we all expect. Yeah.
Now, District 2 covers quite a few cities, and I know you hinted that Orange was your favorite, and we won't tell anybody else, even though it's online.
It's our secret, right? Nobody's.
But if we can think of a fun question, that would be, when you're in Orange, where is your favorite spot to go with your family if you're in Orange?
Yeah. So I'm just kidding. I mean, all these questions are like valid, but I do think that, there's some heavy moments that we live through, but at the same time, there's so much joy. And I just want to tell you, I feel so privileged to be able to serve and be in service as long as I have. I can see my sunset, pretty close, but it's been an honor to just be a public servant and to be able to now serve the community that I grew up in and live 3 blocks from where I was raised, and talk about how can we solve some issues that my neighbors are facing and I face is a really it's a blessed experience. And sometimes we get jaundiced or we get cynical about things that we read about. You all know that last time we spoke, it was right after the corruption scandal with one of my former colleagues, former Supervisor Doe. Difficult moment for the county. Something like that hadn't happened in 40 years. But I see this as an opportunity and as a moment where we can all come together as a community and say, yeah, it's difficult, but we will get through this. And I promise you, we will. Living through the pandemic, living through and governing during the recession and 10, 15 years ago, we thought the sky was going to fall. And during the pandemic, we just thought, are we ever going to recover? Well, we recovered, and we are now facing different challenges, but we will get through this as well. So I think that where I find sort of my peace and sort of my fun places, like just going to going on trails, and just walking around. And that's why the trail system is so important, because being outdoors, being able to just enjoy being healthy and and seeing some green space. I mean, I sometimes will go to the Irvine Land Conservancy back there and realize we have some places in this county that are just, every time I travel, I always come back thinking, why did I leave when I have everything here? We have beaches, we have beautiful spots, and just incredible restaurants, and the diversity of our community. I mean, we have look, Little Saigon, and we have Calle Cuatro, and we have Little Arabia, we have downtown Orange, we have historic places that really just are a reflection of how the county's just grown up, and it's been fascinating to see. So I just like going to different places and trying different restaurants as well. So I want to go visit yours, because I haven't been there, but I'm sure it'll be worth the travel. Yeah.
How many restaurants do we have in the room represented today? Couple, 3? Yeah, we got a lot of restaurants to try.
What's yours? Café Zócalo. Okay. Is it? What's that?
Orange Circle Plaza.
Okay. You got it covered.
I know we have one more, so we have Dara in the back who also has a restaurant as well.
All right. What's on the list, man? We're going to go visit your guys' restaurant. So, all right.
Pizza Press.
Yeah.
All right. Well, does anyone have? We have time for one final questions from the audience. If anyone has one, yes, Patty.
Super light. So I'm first generation born here, and it's been amazing seeing your trajectory because we're from Santana, so I love that. But really, like as a parent, I know that your son recently scored like highest on the law test. There we go. Thank you. Law test. So like, what kind of resources did he use as part of the? Or did he use any county resources to be able to like maybe tutoring, or like how did he do that? As
So,
a parent, like how did you help?
So that is a great question. Because I don't get to brag often, but I will with you all because I feel like we're in a good place. So I do have two boys, and it's funny. Todd and Barry were talking to me. They've known me since I was a very, I won't say young council member, I'll say new council member, many years ago. But they've seen our kids grow up, right? And we have kids kind of the same age. So my two boys are my two eldest. My oldest just started medical school, and he's at UC San Diego. And my middle son, who Patty's talking about, just started law school, and he's at Harvard. And so he scored, and it's called the law school admissions test. He scored a perfect score on that exam.
That's amazing.
So he takes after his mom, but he was only one of 100 kids throughout the world to take the test who scored a perfect score on that exam. And Robert's a lawyer as I am, and yeah, that is not a fun test to take, and very tricky. But his thing was that he was able to not stress about it, and he found a method and a rhythm to being able to like study the exam, study the questions and the format, and he just took an hour, 2 hours out of the day and just focused in on that and blocked everything out and became a tutor. So he's now tutoring other students and helping them get better scores. And I know that I took a tutoring course for my exam, and it they were back then they were charging like a couple $100 a session. He charges $20 a session for students who aren't able to access that support. So that's, to me, that's the funnest fact of him. But thank you guys for letting me brag about him for a little bit. Yeah, I don't get a chance to do it, but yeah, they are much smarter than their dad. So. Yeah.
Isn't Harvard one of the universities that's no longer requiring the LSAT for admission?
I know, right? I mean, thank goodness during his class they did. I know, I know, and I do think that there is a relationship to how well you do on the MCAT or the LSAT, but I don't think it's as close as it used to be. I mean, you could have an awful day on that exam and be a great student afterwards, right? For the next few years. So yeah, had that been the case, I know it wouldn't have worked for me. But yeah, sometimes I think it's that just continual struggle of just learning day in and day out. But we have great. I mean, I'm so hopeful because not just for my kids, but I see youth really engaged here in our county. They care about our county and our cities, and so I see that every day. So we're blessed.
Well, before we close, I know everyone wants to chat with you before you go. If you don't mind if I do a couple of announcements.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
So I have a couple of announcements for everyone. So today we are at the 30th. So we have a ribbon cutting today at the LM Consulting Group. We have business networking on October 1st. We have our e-waste recycling. Who's taken advantage of the e-waste recycling that we've had, right? Oh my goodness. We have that this coming weekend, October 4th and 5th. We have another ribbon cutting at Urbane Cafe on the 7th. We have a bilingual mixer on October 7th as well. We have our member orientation and ambassador meet and greet on October 8th. Bingo, which is the Chamber Foundations event, which has been so fun. Connie is like one of our hostesses of that. That's also on October 8th. Networking on the 9th. Another ribbon cutting, Still Mind Wellness Center on the 14th. Social media workshop on October 15th. Our board meeting's on the 16th. We have a ribbon cutting at Chick Party Rentals. It's actually their 10th anniversary on October 17th. Agape Smile Spa ribbon cutting on October 23rd. Our mixer at Sunrise of Orange on the 23rd as well. This is in October. Blood Orange Ball. Who is planning to attend the Blood Orange Ball? It is so much fun. That's also a foundation event on the 24th. And then all the way through next month. I did leave one out. We have our Eggs and Issues podcast back here with California State Senator Dr. Stephen Choi on the 28th. Now, the event that I didn't mention, because it's going to fall after that, but is very, very important, is our miniature golf tournament. Who is planning? Who likes golf, first of all? Who here likes to golf? Okay. Who's good at golf here? I see no hands.
He's very humble.
Everyone's being very honest this morning. November 6th, we have our very first miniature golf tournament. Teams of 4. You can register as an individual or as a team. We would love to see you there. It's a very quick event, half day approximately. Love to see you. We have some more information for you guys outside. With that, I'd love to say thank you so much for joining us today. We so appreciate you and your time in your office and everything you do.
Of course. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you.
Thank you again to the Velvet Rose for hosting us today. We will see you here again next month, same time, okay? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So fun.
Yes.